This sudden light was unlike anything we'd expected. Scientists initially thought it might be just a trick of the light, a reflection maybe, but further analysis showed something much more interesting. The light was not a random burst or a momentary glint from sunlight. It was consistent. It pulsed gently, almost like it had a rhythm. The pattern was regular, repeating at the same intervals again and again. This was strange because natural phenomena don't usually behave like this. Not on Ceres and not anywhere else in the asteroid belt. A rhythm means timing. Timing means purpose. And purpose hints at something more. NASA's Dawn spacecraft had never encountered anything like it before. The light was coming from inside a crater, but the brightness was so intense that it was illuminating the surrounding area. What made it even more mysterious was that the closer the spacecraft got, the more it seemed like the light wasn't just reflecting, it was actually being generated. A glow like that, consistent and controlled, raised eyebrows all across the scientific world. Everyone started asking the same question. If this isn't a natural reflection, then what is it? And more importantly, who or what is behind it? Speculation started flying. Some believed it could be a new type of geological activity. Maybe an underground ice formation was reflecting sunlight in a weird way. Others thought perhaps it was gas, seeping out from under the surface and catching the light. But none of these theories could explain the pulse. Gases don't pulse like a heartbeat. Reflected light doesn't blink at regular intervals. There had to be something else going on. The rhythmic glow suggested a kind of technology, or at least something being controlled by an internal mechanism. Was it an ancient machine buried under the surface? A signal being sent? Some scientists started looking beyond natural explanations. If it was an artificial light, then who made it? And why on Ceres? That dwarf planet is cold, distant, and quiet. There's no known life there. No atmosphere to speak of. It's the last place anyone expected to find something intelligent. But history has taught us that the universe doesn't care about our expectations. Surprises us. Repeatedly. So the idea started gaining traction. What if this wasn't nature? What if this was a message? Or worse, a warning, left behind by something far more advanced than us? The light wasn't just sitting there. Over time, scientists noticed something even stranger. The pulse was changing. It would speed up slightly, then slow down, then pause. It felt deliberate, almost like it was reacting to something. Could it be responding to dawn? Could the spacecraft's presence have triggered a dormant system, waking it up after thousands of years of silence? The thought gave many researchers goosebumps. Because if it's responding, then it's aware. And if it's aware, then we're not alone in this corner of the solar system. Someone, might be watching. Or maybe they already were all this time. And then came the biggest twist. When the data from dawn was fully analyzed, it became clear that the glow was emitting in a very narrow wavelength. Not only that, it was concentrated in a range often used in human communication systems. This was no coincidence. The odds of a natural light emitting in that exact frequency range are astronomically low. It was almost as if Ceres itself was trying to talk to us, in our own language. Not words, of course, but signals. Light-based Morse code from deep space. And that's when the real mystery began. What was the message? People across the world began to theorize. Some said it was an ancient warning. A distress beacon from a civilization long gone. Others believed it could be an invitation. A cosmic hello from beings who once called Ceres home. The signal patterns were analyzed by cryptologists, linguists, and mathematicians. Everyone was trying to crack the code. But it wasn't simple. The blinking pattern didn't match any known language. It didn't repeat in any way that we could easily understand. But it was intelligent. That much became clear. Too structured to be random. Too purposeful to be natural. It was real. Meanwhile, the origin point of the light, the crater, was being examined in more detail. High-resolution images revealed something shocking. The light wasn't just coming from inside the crater. It was coming from what appeared to be a small dome-like structure embedded in the rock. And this dome had edges. Straight lines. Geometry. Nature doesn't usually build in straight lines, not like this. The structure had form. It had design. The surface looked worn, like it had been there for a very, very long time. But it had survived. Somehow it kept glowing, kept pulsing. Like it was waiting. For someone. Or something. It was unlike anything else found on any other planetary body. Even the Moon, Mars, or Europa didn't have anything like it. And the dome's material was even stranger. Spectral analysis showed that it was made of compounds unknown to Earth. Not metals. Not stone. Something else. Something with incredibly high reflective properties and remarkable resistance to radiation. Some researchers quietly admitted it might be beyond our current manufacturing capabilities. That opened another possibility. If this material wasn't from Earth and not naturally from Ceres, then where did it come from? And who had the technology to place it there? The scientific community found itself at a crossroads. On one hand, this could be the greatest discovery in human history, proof that we are not alone. On the other hand, the implications were terrifying. If there really had been, or still were, intelligent beings out there, then we were now on their radar. The message might not be for us. It could be for someone else entirely. Or it could be bait. A beacon set to attract attention. The kind of attention we might not want. Still, curiosity always wins. Humanity has never backed away from the unknown. We investigate. We explore. NASA decided to keep sending data back to Earth for as long as the Dawn spacecraft could survive. Every byte of information was precious. Every shift in the light pattern, every image of that strange dome, it was all studied closely. But then another unexpected event happened. The signal pattern changed again. This time, instead of pulsing slowly, it flashed in a rapid burst, then stopped. Completely. The light disappeared. Just like that. Gone. No fading, no dimming. One moment it was there. The next, nothing. As if the dome had finished its job. Or maybe, someone turned it off. The sudden darkness raised even more questions. What had caused it? Had the spacecraft triggered something? Was it a countdown? A completed transmission? Or had someone received our presence and shut the door? All communications from Ceres went quiet. The dome remained there unchanged. But it no longer glowed. It no longer responded. Scientists scrambled to re-establish connection, but there was no answer. It felt like the end of a conversation, one where we never even got to ask our question. The silence was loud, heavier than the light had ever been, and it left the entire scientific world in suspense. Some theorists believe we witnessed a relic, a piece of an ancient civilization, long lost to time. Others suggest it's an automated system still functioning after millennia. Something left behind intentionally, like a message in a bottle drifting through the cosmos. And that maybe, just maybe, we were never meant to find it. Or maybe we were meant to find it now, in this moment of our history, when we're just beginning to reach into the stars. A cosmic test. A key to the next chapter in our story. Or a warning that we're not yet ready to understand. Whatever the truth is, one thing is certain. The mystery of Ceres has only deepened. We don't know who built that dome. We don't know why it pulsed with light. And we don't know what happened when it went dark. But we do know this, something is out there. Something powerful. Something intelligent. And it's been there a very, very long time. Watching. Waiting. Maybe even listening. The light may be gone, but its message remains. A quiet whisper in the dark. A question we can't yet answer. But someday we will. Because the universe is speaking. And we're finally learning to listen. The sudden end of the signal left a void, both literally and emotionally. Researchers who had spent months decoding, analyzing, and watching that light now stared at empty data streams. What had felt like the beginning of contact now seemed more like a farewell. The mystery wasn't solved, it had deepened. Teams went back over every frame, every pulse, every detail they could extract from the archived footage. Was there something they missed? A clue hidden in the rhythm of the blinking light? Or maybe a hidden pattern in the shape of the dome itself? They weren't just analyzing data anymore, they were chasing a ghost. People began asking philosophical questions. What does it mean if we are not alone, but the ones we found are gone? Or hiding? Did they perish? Did they move on to another world? Or are they watching from the shadows, waiting for us to reach a level where we can finally understand? It's humbling to realize how little we still know. For all our satellites, telescopes, and rovers, the universe remains full of doors we've only just learned to knock on. And Ceres was one of those doors, opened briefly, then shut without a word. It was both a miracle and a mystery. A moment that reminded us how far we've come and how far we still have to go. And it wasn't just scientists who were affected. The public became captivated. Documentaries were made. Forums exploded with speculation. People began to share theories, art, and even music inspired by the light of Ceres. It struck a chord with humanity's shared longing to know we are not alone. Something about the pulse, the dome, and the sudden silence tapped into a deep emotional place. People wanted answers not just for curiosity but for comfort. If someone had been out there once, maybe we're not as isolated in the vast universe as we thought. That small glimmer from Ceres became a symbol of hope, mystery, and connection. As months passed, new theories continued to emerge. Some proposed that the dome was a kind of celestial black box, left behind by an advanced species to preserve their knowledge. Others believed it was a gate, a piece of technology waiting to be activated, perhaps needing a code or a frequency that we haven't yet discovered. One particularly interesting idea came from a team of mathematicians who noticed that the pulse patterns bore a resemblance to prime number sequences. Not identical but eerily close. Prime numbers are often considered a potential universal language, used in SETI, search for extraterrestrial intelligence, protocols to signify intelligence. Could that have been the dome's way of signaling us? Meanwhile, some started drawing connections to ancient myths. Throughout history, many cultures have told stories of gods or beings descending from the skies, leaving behind artifacts of great power and mystery. What if those stories weren't metaphors? What if they were memories, distorted by time, of real encounters with ancient travelers from the stars? The Dome on Ceres might be the latest chapter in a story humanity began long before it had the tools to understand it. Some even wondered if the structure on Ceres had connections to the strange monoliths found on Earth, giant, unexplained stones positioned with celestial precision. Was it coincidence or a signature left across the solar system? At NASA, the team behind the Dawn mission continued to push boundaries. Though the spacecraft's power was dwindling, they managed to squeeze out a few more transmissions. Using low-energy protocols, they tried scanning nearby regions of Ceres in different wavelengths. They hoped to find anything, heat signatures, magnetic fields, or secondary structures, but the surface remained quiet. That glowing beacon had gone dark, and nothing else seemed to stir. Still they kept trying. Because when you've witnessed something that breaks the rules, you don't stop looking. You dig deeper. You question everything. International space agencies took note. ESA, JAXA, and even private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin began expressing interest in returning to Ceres. There were talks of sending a lander, or even a crewed mission one day. But there were challenges. The distance. The unknown risks. The technology needed to drill into the dome without damaging it. What if we destroy it while trying to open it? What if it's waiting for a specific approach, a protocol we haven't figured out yet? It wasn't just about exploration anymore. It was about responsibility. We were possibly handling the legacy of a species that had mastered the stars. One wrong move could erase the last trace of their existence. And then another twist occurred. A separate satellite, orbiting Mars, reported receiving a faint echo in the same frequency range that the dome had emitted. It was weak, almost lost in the background noise, but the pattern was unmistakable. The signal was bouncing, not from Mars but from deep space. From a direction far beyond our solar system. Was it possible that the dome had sent a message before it went silent? And that someone, or something, was now replying? The signal was too faint to decode, but the timing was suspicious. Within weeks of Ceres going dark, another light had flickered. Somewhere in the deep. This brought renewed excitement and anxiety. If a response was indeed coming, what would it say? Would it be friendly? Would it even be understandable? And if the dome had acted as a transmitter, then what else might be out there acting as receivers? Had we just rung a bell that echoed across the galaxy? Some experts warned caution. We have no idea what kind of civilization we might be waking up. Others argued that it was too late for caution. We'd already stepped into the unknown. The light had gone out, but the door was now open. There was no turning back. Back on Earth, the world watched and waited. Scientific journals were flooded with papers. News outlets updated every development. And quietly, plans were being drawn for a new mission. One that wouldn't just observe from orbit but land directly on the dome. The risks were enormous, but so were the possibilities. If we could access the structure, who knows what we might learn? It could hold history, knowledge, technology, or even warnings. Whatever it held, it was clear that we couldn't ignore it. Humanity had been offered a glimpse into something greater. We had to follow through. And still the dome remained. Silent, unmoving, mysterious. It sat there on the dusty surface of Ceres like a riddle carved in stone. For now it waits. But the story is far from over. Every discovery we make brings more questions. Every signal we detect points to something more. It's as if the universe is slowly unraveling its secrets, not all at once but piece by piece. Ceres was just one piece, a starting point, a spark. And someday when we look back, we may realize it was the first real step into a much bigger world.